All right, dude, we are live. What's up, guys? This is Dem Keys, and um, yeah, yeah. So I missed the last two streams. I don't know why I started out the stream with yeah. Let's try that again. What's up, guys? This is Dem Keys, and today we're gonna continue learning Godot with Rust. So we are currently sticking with learning about the editor itself, and pretty soon we're going to be going into the scripting side once we've learned a fair bit about doing stuff within the Godot editor itself. And then once we do go over to the scripting side, instead of using GD script, we're going to be using Rust, and we're going to follow the tutorial on. Hold on, I believe I do have the page loaded up. Yeah, we're going to follow the documentation of the Godot Rust book, and that's how we're going to be doing our scripting. Now, I missed the last 2 days of streaming. The day before yesterday, I could have streamed, but like things just ended up not working out in terms of like my tech. And when I did finally get a chance to stream, um, actually, okay, so when I did finally get a chance to stream, if my tech would have cooperated with me, then I would have been able to stream for maybe, I don't know, 45 minutes. That would still have been better than, not streaming at all. But then, yeah, when I did try to stream, then my tech was not cooperating with me. So I decided to just not stream. And then yesterday, um, well, we had a bit of an emergency where I live. And so um, I was not able to stream yesterday either. The emergency is still not necessarily over. We're not completely in the clear, but things are relatively okay now. Um, so yeah, I didn't want to, you know, lose another day of streaming, and so I decided to stream today as well. I actually wanted to start the stream an hour ago, but then I got busy doing some research. So in the past 2 days, aside from the other research that I've been doing, I was also looking into, because I came across these new, well, the tools themselves are not new, but I came across them newly. Specifically, one called television. This is sort of a fuzzy finder, but it's a fuzzy finder TUI. So it's for the terminal, and it is incredibly useful. It is also incredibly fast, but it is incredibly useful. It works together with a bunch of other tools, like it uses ripgrep. So TV itself is a Rust-based tool. It uses ripgrep for finding text. It's ripgrep is essentially grep on Linux, but it's Rust based, and it has a lot more features. It's a little more intelligent about ignoring certain directories and certain files and stuff. And it is fast. It is incredibly fast. So TV, it uses ripgrep for finding, I want to say, just text. I don't remember if it also finds if it also finds text within file names or not, but it does find text within files. And additionally, TV also uses a tool called BAT. BAT is basically cat, which is it's a program on Linux for printing out all of the printable characters within a file. So if you have like a text file or a JSON file or something like that, something with characters that can be printed out to the console, you can just do cat. I can show it here. Hold on. Why am I just like describing? Hold on. I can show it over here. Um, we are in Rust proj. So I can do cat src main.rs. So this prints out our thing. And it's pretty plain text. As you can see, it doesn't really show you, it doesn't, I mean, it gives you just the text, right? And that's great. But if you use bat does it in this way. And this is not the only good thing about bat. There are a bunch of other features within bat. Like for example, and to be fair, I haven't tried this with cat. I should try this. Hold on. So in bat, you can actually you can hand over multiple files to bat. So let's say over here I have a cargo thing, right? So I can do bat cargo dot toml, and I can do src dot main. So this prints out two files. Bat actually acts as a pager as well. I just remembered this thing. Bat acts as a pager as well. So the thing that you tell it to print out, it if the output is long enough that you would need to scroll, it'll basically show it to you in pager mode like this. And this is great because you can in this way you can actually get you can pipe long input into this and it'll act like a pager. So generally, if I wanted to do something like this, I would have to use something like less. What example can I give? Let's say cat cargo.toml, and then I pass it into less. Less is also a pager. It's the Linux default pager, but then bat also acts as a pager. So it's it gives you multiple tools within one tool. There were a couple of more very interesting features. I'm going to be making a social media post about this because these tools are incredibly useful. You have, and the great thing is that they're all Rust based. You have TV, which itself like it's Rust based. Then you have the tools that TV uses internally. One of them is fd find, which is basically for finding files and I believe directories as well. You have ripgrep, which is for finding patterns within files. And the great thing about ripgrep, I believe it does look within, what do you call it? Within directories as well. Let me just confirm that. So RG, we are currently in this, right? RG, let's say name. I don't remember if the quotes are necessary or not. Yeah, it looks within the directory, and it gives you the line number along with, well, it gives you the file name, the line number, and then what the entire line is where it found the pattern. So in my case, I was looking for name and it found it there. Let's look for main. Here you can see it found it in two separate places. That error log.txt, it doesn't belong to the project necessarily, but this was from some, I don't remember what I was trying to install, and I was getting an error. I think it was something that I was trying to install on my new Ubuntu machine, as in my Windows laptop on which I installed Ubuntu in dual boot. I was trying to install some tools there, and during that installation, something in there required an OpenSSL related library, and it also required a Git related library. The Git thing was already installed, fortunately, but the OpenSSL thing, I had to install that library separately. And there was also, I believe, something called pkg config. I think that's what the name was. I don't remember what that library does, but yeah, when I had asked, when I had given this entire, so that's kind of why I'd exported this entire error log thing, because I wanted to hand it over to Gemini and ask Gemini to figure out what exactly the error is. And this is, dude, this is amazing. Like, using an LLM, it has saved me so many hours. I'm not even kidding about that. Hours, if not days, of having to Google things for problem solving. It is insane. Like, I have very rare situations where I actually have to, go and Google, like if it's something technical, something that there's a decent chance Gemini is already going to know about, then I very rarely have to go and Google the thing. There are still times where uh, the the LLM might exaggerate, or it might not know, or it might give wrong information, but for the most part, I've been able to, especially with something like this, like you get a massive error log, and then you have to like go through the entire thing and try to make sense out of it. Instead of doing that, I just hand over the entire error log over to Gemini, and then Gemini says, "Okay, here's the problem. This is why this error is occurring. Here's how you can solve it." And just as some added info, in the future, the next error that you might get, it might be so and so thing. So just make sure you have so and so library also installed. And so yeah, that's been it's been really helpful. Um, what else? What else? I was also okay. So aside from so this is great, right? Rip grab, bat, TV, FD find also, but I haven't actually used FD find as a standalone tool. The majority of the time I've had to use it, it was because some other tool required it, because the other tool was trying to use it. And FD find is also Rust based, I believe. Let me just Google it so I can give you the exact information on what this tool is, because I believe it's mainly for finding files and directories. FD find, because it's being mentioned as FD, but like Rust based. In the meantime, I could probably look this up. We do not have FD installed. Okay. Uh, FD, FD is a program to find entries in your file system. It's a simple, fast, and user-friendly alternative to find. It's find. Okay, okay. There. Give it a second. Okay. Search for files in a directory hierarchy. Okay, that's what it is. I don't know if it also looks for directories. Let me just check, because it says entries in your file system. Entries could be directories as well, right? Not just files. And, just like how rip grep, for example, and bat, for that matter, just how similar to how they have extra features, and they're not just like one-to-one copies of, you know, the counterpart. Actually, I don't know if that would classify as a counterpart. Yeah, I guess it would, right? Because like bat could be called a better cat. They call it cat with wings. That's, I believe that's what's listed on the repo. Give me a second. I just realized that I forgot to open up my chat on my phone. So give me a second. And yeah, okay, we are good. Great. So yeah. Um, anyways, stepping aside from this, I'm gonna be making I'm gonna be making social media posts on each of these tools, because these are actually really useful tools, and it's yet another thing that improves my terminal based workflow. So I'm glad that I came across this tool. Um, I think Yahtzee also uses. I think Yahtzee is the one that uses FD Find. I believe that's why I had to install FD Find to begin with, because on my new, or I mean, to be fair, it could have been any of the other applications as well, not just Yahtzee. Oh, also another one that I've been looking into is a diffing tool called Delta, and this one has also been really interesting because in terms of diffing, so when I think about when I've tried to do diffing, let me temporarily move into. I don't remember what I have in some repo. How can I see the commits? Oh, TV in some repo. Okay, backup, TV. Um, I think git log would help. So let's cd into some repo. Um, I don't remember if git. Okay, you know what? Let's just open up TV here. This is our thing. There's at at the very least there's two commits in here, and I can switch to one of the channels. Okay, a channel to select from git log entries. I'm assuming log entries are commits. I don't know. Then there's git diff, a channel to select files from git diff commands. I actually haven't tried this out. Then git repos, a channel to select from git repositories on your local machine. This channel uses fd to find directories that contain. Okay, so fd can actually find directories as well. Good to know. That contain a .git subdirectory, and then allows you to preview the git log of the selected repo. Yes, okay. So what I was looking for is git log. Um, and here it is. This shows the first commit. I don't remember if there is a second commit so far. Yeah, I don't remember if there has been a second commit yet. Um, Actually, yeah, okay, that's a good point. It's showing just one commit. I just realized that in the results it's showing just that one commit. This is TV, by the way. This application is TV. In TV, you have something called channels. So it allows you to use the TV fuzzy finder to find different types of information. And essentially those filters are called channels. So you can have, actually you do have, you have like a set of channels that's already provided, which is basically this. You have like a bunch of channels that have already been provided. I can, for example, go to, actually, what does TLDR give you again? Browse and preview TLDR help page. Okay, yeah. So I can go into files, for example. This will show me the files within this directory. I can, there's also a text one. Yeah, there's a text one as well. So I can use this to search for, okay, in this case, there's only one file, but I can use it to search. So you can see here, it shows this. And if I hit enter, then it'll give me that result. I believe this result, um, it might be something to do with ripgrep, with RG, because it's using RG to find this text. But yeah, dude, this is why I'm excited for why I'm excited about this. What was I in? Rust. Okay, okay. This is the wrong directory to be in, by the way. I'm supposed to be in um, Rust Godot. Oh, further, actually. CD Rust. Okay. Just to confirm. Yep. Okay. All right. Great. Now, back here. Dude, okay, hold on. Additionally, something that I've been doing research on, let's say since yesterday or almost all of today, since I woke up, that is, um, I've been doing research on ways to render graphics within the terminal using Ratatouille specifically, because I don't want to have to reinvent the wheel and recreate like TUI technology when I really don't need to. And also, I'm not going to do a very good job at it because, dude, there's no way I'm building something better than Ratatouille, right? I don't need to, because Ratatouille already does a great job. So my thing is, I want to use Ratatouille to um I want to attempt creating my next VTuber application in Ratatouille. I know I had mentioned that I want to do it in Godot, but then I also got this idea that why not try and recreate it within the terminal itself? Like, I feel like there's a lot that I can do there. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot that I can do there. There is something that I'm curious about though. I need to look that up. And this is most probably only going to work out well if I'm doing it with the Kitty terminal open. And it depends on how much memory the Kitty terminal is going to be using. Um, okay, I didn't mean to do that. Hold on. Okay. Hey, so I'm planning on working on a TUI project using Ratatouille, and I'm going to be using the Kitty terminal for rendering. Um, or rather, I should say I'm going to be using the Kitty terminal uh, to run the app. What I'm wondering is, will I have the option to have different sizes of text on the screen, or am I limited to one fixed size? There's a specific reason why I'm asking this question because um, generally with terminals you are limited, but I remember reading somewhere about the Kitty terminal specifically having some sort of protocol that allows you to have different sizes of text. I don't remember exactly what that was. Okay, so here's a response. It's a great time to be working with Ratatouille and Kitty. Traditionally, terminals have been strictly limited to a single fixed font size, a grid of cells, quote unquote. But thanks to a very recent protocol, that is no longer the case. The short answer is yes, you can have different text sizes on the screen simultaneously, but because this feature is brand new, you have to handle it a bit differently than Ratatouille's widgets. Okay. The Kitty Text Sizing Protocol. In 2025, Kitty introduced the text sizing protocol supported in Kitty so and so. Actually, I think I might need to upgrade my Kitty terminal here. I don't know what information this is going to throw out, so I need to be. Oh, you know what? I can look. I can check in a different terminal. Give me a second. So we are looking at local kitty.app bin kitty, and then let's throw in a version flag. So I'm sitting on Kitty 0.42.1 on that machine, um, meaning I'm probably sitting on a similar version here. Sorry. Um, let's do local. Oh, wrong. Local kitty.app bin kitty version. Oh, easy. Don't know what happened there. Version. Yeah, okay, great. Okay, this is a slightly newer one. This is 0.42.2, but it's still higher than 0.40, which means I probably have this thing. Okay, this allows a terminal application to tell Kitty, render this specific string as if it were 2x or 3x the size of the base font. How it works: it uses an escape code, OSC66. When you send this code, Kitty allocates a block of multi-cells, example a 2 by 2 grid of regular cells, and draws the text scaled up to fill that space. Mixing sizes. You can have a large header at the top of your TUI, and standard size text right below. Can Ratatouille do this out of the box? As of early 2026, standard Ratatouille widgets like Paragraph are still built around the concept of one character equals one cell. However, you have two main ways to achieve different text sizes. The quote unquote real way, which is Kitty specific. To use Kitty's actual font scaling, you will need to write a custom widget or use a raw escape code within a canvas. I'm sure someone else has done this, so I'm just gonna have to Google other people's solutions because I can't be the only one who's using the Kitty terminal and writing TUI Rust applications using Ratatouille. Okay, pros: crisp, high quality text, and looks like a real font, perfectly aligned. Cons: only works in Kitty, and a few others adopting the protocol like Ghosty or GhostTTY. GhostTY. Let's just say Ghosty. Requires manual handling of the layout because Ratatouille that doesn't know the text is taking up multiple cells. That makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. So I'll just need to be a little more mindful of how I'm using it. Other than that, it's good to know that I can definitely have different font sizes because I did want to introduce a kind of thing where I can I can bring up things of like text on screen. Like for example, my social media box that I have in the top left of the screen. What I would like to do is have have random tags pop up on the screen every now and then, and that'll be a separate overlay application. I don't think I'm going to make that a part of the VTuber application itself. I think it's better to have the overlays separate and the VTuber application separate because that'll allow me to have the VTuber application be much more high res. The way I have what's a good example? The way I have the Matrix Rain and pretty much the other two Tmux windows that I'm showing right now, one of which is behind the Godot window. I've actually what I've done is I've um, zoomed out so that the text is incredibly small, and that gives us like a much bigger, a much more higher resolution grid of cells to render stuff into. And then I'm streaming that to the RTMP server and then reading the RTMP feed on this machine. So what I could do is I could have a similar thing going on for my VTuber application, and regardless of like the resolution thing, because I think even if I did have both of them as separate applications, I still think I would be doing the VTuber app and the overlay app as at the same resolution, but still running different applications. They both wouldn't be the same, as in they both wouldn't be the same app. I feel like that'll give me a little more flexibility in what I want to do. It would be good though if the entire thing was just one application, but I feel like coupling them together would also complicate things a little bit. Having an overlay be a separate overlay application, that would give me much more flexibility in what I can do and what I want to do. Yeah, yeah. So okay, Back to what I was talking about. So I was doing research on. Wait, hold on. The TUI native way. There's a popular crate called TUI Big Text, often used with Ratatouille. How it works, it doesn't actually change the font size. Instead, it uses Unicode block characters, like half blocks or quadrants, to draw large characters across multiple terminal cells. Okay. Prose works in any terminal, not just Kitty, and is fully integrated with Ratatouille's layout system. Cons, the text blocks or the text looks blocky or pixelated compared to real scaled font. Compared to real scaled font. Okay. You know what? I can test out both of them. Yeah, I can test out both of them. I am curious though. Can I just test out what do you call it? Wait, okay. I was looking into this thing as well. I'm gonna talk about this as well, like what I was the stuff I was doing research on. Eventually, we're gonna get into Godot, but like I'm excited to talk about the stuff that I've been doing research on. For now, let me look up what was the thing called? TUI Big Text. TUI Big Text. Okay. While that loads up, I'm looking at something called. Oh, this is interesting. So this is something called Elderon. Elderon is a next generation classical RPG creator. It's a cross platform creator for classic retro role playing games. Its primary goal is to enable the creation of RPGs reminiscent of the 1980s and 1990s while incorporating modern features such as multiplayer support, procedural. Um, Give me a second. Procedural content generation, and more. Elderon natively supports 2D, like Ultima 4 and 5, isometric and first person RPGs, allowing developers to craft a variety of experiences. Hold on. So this is a framework. What is being used for rendering? This is the game engine itself, right? And if it's supporting all of these multiple, oh, there's holy shit. Okay, there's an entire like what do you call it? There's an entire editor set up for this. Okay, Elderon is built on three embedded crates that I have developed over the last years. Each focuses on a specific aspect of the engine and editor, and together they are the foundation of the Elderon ecosystem. So, the framework. This handles cross-platform window creation, user event abstraction, and the custom UI system used by Elderon. So this handles basically the windowing and all of the input and stuff like that. Well, because windowing is involved, so I'm assuming that's why this also handles input. Then we have Rasterix. This started out as a software rasterizer for 2D and 3D geometry, but has since evolved into the core game engine. While Scene VM now handles most rendering tasks, the software rasterization aspect of Rasterisk is still used for example, in in-game UI elements. Okay, Scene VM, an abstracted layer-based renderer for 2D and 3D built on top of WGPU. Each layer can define its own geometry and compute shaders, making Scene VM the main rendering backbone of Elder. This is interesting, dude. No, this is actually really interesting. This person has set up their. Hold on, is this still in development? This is actively in development. You guys can check this out if you want. This is a game engine. Yeah, this is an entire game engine. This is like you've got the editor, you've got. Um, I was specifically looking for a renderer, but you've got an entire editor here to set up your entire game. The logic, I'm assuming they're exposing an API that lets you write the game in Rust itself. Um, yeah, I haven't seen how exactly you set up the scenes and stuff, but yeah, this is, dude, this is interesting. This is great. Now, okay, okay, we're gonna keep this aside for a second because I wanna continue talking about the thing that I was talking about. So, okay, TUI Big Text is an archived repo. It is not being developed anymore. This repo has been consolidated into TUI widgets. Okay, Ratatouille is no, wait, hold on, wait, back up. Let's go back to the old thing. TUI Big Text is a Rust crate that renders large pixel text as a Ratatouille widget. Okay, so this was built specifically for Ratatouille. All right, interesting. As a Ratatouille widget using the glyphs from the font 8 8 by 8 crate. Okay, so this has been consolidated into TUI widgets, so I'm assuming they've worked on multiple other widgets as well. There's TUI bar graph, TUI big text, TUI box text, TUI cards, pop-ups, prompts, QR code, scroll bar, scroll view. Dude, I think some of these are already like part of the Ratatouille thing, the Ratatouille. Oh, oh, that's crazy. Okay, I just noticed TUI widgets is a repo made by Ratatouille itself, like the Ratatouille user. So this person's work has been consolidated into um, the Ratatouille library. This name seems familiar. Is this person the develop one of the developers of Ratatouille? Give me a second. I'm just gonna look this up. I think this person created Ratatouille. Okay. I didn't because that the name seemed kind of familiar when I was looking because I've seen the name. I couldn't remember where exactly I've seen the name. Let me just I'm on the website right now. Let me just see if there's like a thing about the team who are the devs. Um I believe so. Hold on. Okay, I don't know. I can't say for sure if this person is one of the if this person is the original creator of what do you call it? No, the original creator is showing up as somebody else. There's a different name popping up. So yeah, that's why I don't wanna like give out wrong information, but I remember this name being mentioned as well. The name I'm talking about is Joshka. This person's name was mentioned as well. Um, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't wanna give out wrong information. The person might be one of the devs of Ratatouille or um, well, they are part of the Ratatouille organization. They are one of the members of the Ratatouille organization. So I can look into this later on, just for my curiosity. But yeah, this person's work, which was the TUI Big Text, was one of the works. It got merged into this, and I'm guessing there's a bunch of other works of theirs as well, which is awesome. Okay, okay, great. Back to what I was talking about. So I wanted to try and use um, I wanted to try and build the next iteration of the VTuber app in a TUI application instead of a Godot application because I wanted to see like because okay I kind of also like the aesthetic of of the terminal itself. So because I'm doing a whole bunch of terminal based stuff, like a lot of my workflow is terminal based. The majority of the tools that I'm using now are all terminal based. So I feel like my VTuber application also being terminal based would kind of, fit that theme, if that makes sense. And yeah, that's why I wanted to try doing it in the terminal. Another reason is that terminal applications are just so much lighter. Even if you're making them do stuff on the CPU, they still end up being a lot lighter. So um, I'm hoping that this ends up being lighter on my system as well. But I do want to try setting the thing up in the terminal using Ratatouille. There's going to be a bunch of benefits to this. One of them being that I'm going to get to work with Ratatouille because I've been wanting to learn about that framework, learn the Ratatouille framework itself. Another benefit is that, well, to be fair, I was gonna have this exact benefit, the one that I'm gonna talk about next. I was gonna have this a similar benefit if I was using Godot as well, because I'm doing Godot with Rust, right? So, but yeah, one of the other benefits that I'm gonna have is that I'm gonna be doing my VTuber application in Rust. Oh, also, I'm most likely gonna make both of them open source. Both the VTuber application um, and the overlay app. I can try to make it. I can try to make it customizable in both of them. I don't know to what extent I'm gonna wanna or even need uh, to what extent I'm gonna need to change settings. I mean, I'm pretty sure there might be settings that I need to change even in the. Yeah, no. You know what? Yeah, yeah. I'm pretty sure there's going to be settings that I need to change even in the VTuber application. So what I can do is I can add a Lua runtime to both of them, and yeah, I can add a Lua runtime to both of them, and that way I can customize them. I can have like a custom scripting kind of thing in there. For the VTuber application, one major benefit of having the Lua runtime is going to be I can customize a bunch of things without having to recompile the application. But in order for that to work, I'm going to have to expose a bunch of API to the Lua side and find ways to make it customizable. I'm going to have to create an API that allows me to customize the text to a certain extent. The thing is, I still don't entirely know what all I want in my overlay. Currently, the ideas that I have are okay, there can be patches of text here and there. I didn't plan on integrating my chat into the overlay. I'm planning on because I already have a chat widget, right? So I can just use that. Maybe later on I can work on a chat thing. For the time being, I'm more interested in like other text elements. Maybe I can introduce a timer if I want. I can introduce. I mean, I rarely use timers for things, but yeah, words. I can introduce a timer if I want. I can add text for various purposes. I can find a way to describe animations. Yeah, I can find a way to I can try to find a way to describe animations. That would be an interesting one. That would definitely be an interesting one. Describing animations. I'll have to use like um there's a tweening library which I can use to do the actual animation. And I'm sure Ratatouille also supports, or maybe there's a complementary crate that um, adds in the functionality for animation. But yeah, dude, holy shit, dude, doing stuff in Rust is amazing. The biggest advantage here is that anytime I'm in a situation where I need to have some sort of custom functionality, I can just look up a crate that does that. I can look up a crate that does that and produces the data that's needed, and then I can feed that data into the crate that's doing, let's say, the rendering, for example. Actually, okay, this comes back to what exactly I was looking up in terms of making my VTuber application in Ratatouille and making it terminal based. So I want to use Ratatouille, right? Um, but I also want to have a certain level of, animation. I'm gonna find creative ways to set up the application and display the animations and stuff. I would also like to. This one I'm gonna have to see how to go about doing it, but I would also like to have a little bit of head tracking and face tracking. Not necessarily face tracking, but head tracking. Like, okay, if I turn my head to a certain extent, then like, you know, the rotation, quote unquote, shows up in the animation. As I'm moving my head a little bit here and there, that shows up. Maybe it's not going to be like a completely smooth one-to-one animation. It's not meant to be a smooth one-to-one animation. I want to make it a little bit choppy. I feel like that has a certain charm to it, if that makes sense. Um, and I want to add in a bit of an animation for. So okay, here's another thing. I need to decide what I want the what do you call it? What I want the VTuber model to be, because if we are talking about like head movement and stuff, I can incorporate that, right? But I'm not really looking for something that has a head. I'm not looking for a humanoid model. Like on one hand, I can imagine um, a head that's a monitor. It's like an old CRT monitor kind of thing. Um, that's one of the ideas that I have. But I also kind of want to stick with abstract concepts because I really enjoy that idea. Like what's going on right now on screen with in terms of the VTuber model. I really enjoyed this kind of a thing as well. So I kind of want to try and make something that's along these lines, but still incorporate a bit of animation in there, a bit of body tracking and stuff. And I also want it to be audio reactive, which shouldn't be it shouldn't be much of a problem because there are crates that allow me to read audio and convert it to a form that can be used for VFX purposes. There are crates that allow that, or there are crates that do that. Now, okay, um, I was doing research on because like okay, Ratatouille allows you to draw stuff to a certain extent, right? It gives you some tools to be able to draw things. But at least from my understanding, that set of tools, and I could be completely wrong about this because I haven't really dove dived Divin. That's not a thing. Dovin. I haven't really dove too deep into Ratatouille enough to to know how limited its functionality is in terms of drawing shapes. Like if you're creating a custom widget and you want to draw some shapes onto it, what are the limitations in terms of what you can do? So, the idea that I had was why not try to use a 2D graphics library? Initially, I was like, okay, let me try 3D. But then 3D would, unless I want to move things over to the GPU, trying to do it on the CPU is going to make things unnecessarily heavy. So I was like, okay, then let's stick with the 2D and see what I'm able to do in terms of 2D, because there's a lot that I can do in terms of 2D. Um, what was I saying? Yeah. So the idea that I had was, okay, what if I was able to use a library that is meant specifically for drawing these shapes and rendering it in a form that I can then translate into terminal characters. So I can write my own layer for doing this translation, but I need a framework that can actually draw these shapes and then rasterize that, so it's occupying, a set number of pixels, a set grid of pixels, and then kind of composite all of those shapes together, all of those rendered images together into one final frame, which can then be rendered onto a screen. Now, because I'm not doing conventional 2D graphics, what I'm doing is terminal graphics. So the data that's going to be generated, it needs to then be translated to terminal characters, so it can then be passed to Ratatouille, and Ratatouille can do the rendering. My thing was, I need a library that can actually do that thing. Like I need a library where that I can tell to draw a circle with so and so thickness at so and so location and all of that, and then have that be rasterized and rendered into a final image. But that final image shouldn't be an image or even a texture for that matter. It should just be a regular array of bytes. And then I will take that array of bytes and do something with it. In my case, doing something with it means I'll be translating that array of bytes to a bunch of characters, which will then be passed on to Ratatouille in order to do the rendering, right? So my thing was, I needed something that would allow me to just do the drawing part without actually rendering what's being drawn, and just keeping whatever's being drawn in memory, so I can then do something with it. And I didn't know exactly where to look, so I asked Gemini, and Gemini gave me some suggestions for things. Turns out what I'm looking for is usually called a software rasterizer or software-based rendering. But like a lot of times, this rendering, it does involve the GPU, and even if it's CPU based, usually when they're doing the rendering, they make it so, and this is especially if it's GPU based, when they're doing the rendering, it's very tightly coupled with the GPU. So the assumption there is, once your drawing calculations to begin with are going to be done on the GPU. So they'll prepare the data, they'll prepare the matrices, they'll prepare various like textures and vertex positions and all of the data basically. And they'll also prepare a set of instructions, and then just pass all of that to the GPU, and have the GPU do its job of doing like the vertex transformations and rasterization and all of that stuff. And finally, you get a buffer containing the pixel values, or the stuff that's supposed to be, drawn to a window. In my case, I need the entire thing to be CPU based, and I need I need it to not render to a window, just render to a buffer. Just give me a raw slice of bytes, a raw array of bytes that I can then use in my own calculations. And There are like a select few libraries that I found for this. One of them is called Tiny Skia, I think. I don't remember. Hold on, let me just, yeah, Tiny Skia. Apparently there's, give me a second. Yeah. Apparently there's a library called Skia, which is I think made by Google. Let me just open this up. Download developers about. Okay, Skia is an open source 2D graphics library which provides common APIs that work across a variety of hardware and software platforms. It serves as a graphics engine for Google Chrome and Chrome OS, Android, Flutter, and many other products. Skia is sponsored and managed by Google. Okay, but but is available for use by anyone under the BSD free software license. Um, while engineering of the core components is done by the Skia development team, we consider contributions from any source. All right, okay. So Skia is a bigger library. It's a much more bigger and sophisticated library. Uh, Tiny Skia is it's a Rust-based library of a smaller. It's a Rust-based library of a subset of Skia features. Not the entire library itself, just a small subset of it. So, according to Tiny Skia's README, it says Tiny Skia is a Tiny Skia, which is the name of the repo, is a tiny Skia subset of, is a tiny Skia subset ported to Rust. The goal is to provide an absolute minimal CPU only 2D rendering library for the Rust ecosystem with a focus on rendering quality, speed, and binary size. And while Tiny Skia is definitely tiny, it supports all the common 2D operations like filling and stroking a shape with a solid color, gradient, or pattern, stroke dashing, clipping, images blending, PNG load slash save, etc. The main missing feature is text rendering. That's okay because I'm going to be using Ratatouille for that. Note, this is not a Skia replacement and will never be. It's more of a research project. Okay, motivation. I'm just going to read a small thing of the motivation, not the entire thing. The main motivation behind this library is to have a small, high quality 2D rendering library that can be used by RESVG. Okay, and the choice is rather limited. You basically have to choose between Cairo, Qt, and Skia, and all of them are relatively bloated. All of them are relatively bloated, hard to compile and distribute, not to mention that none of them are written in Rust. Now, okay, here's the thing. I don't know if Skia actually handles rendering to the window. It's possible that Skia might also be similar to this tiny Skia. Um, but yeah, this tiny Skia, I actually, to be fair, I don't know if this tiny Skia also does rendering to any window at all. But okay, regardless, I mean, I guess I'll find that out later. Um, I'm actually not looking for something that renders to the window, and that's the point here. I don't want something that renders to the window because in my case, the quote unquote rendering to the window is going to be done by Ratatouille. So what I need is a library um, that I can tell to draw a circle of so and so radius at so and so position with so and so color filled inside, and then that representation is going to be rasterized and rendered to a buffer. And once the final image, so I can have multiple shapes and I can have a bunch of different like colors and stuff, whatever I want to draw onto a 2D grid, I can draw that, and then I can have that rendered to a buffer in the form of just a raw slice of bytes, and or an entire array of bytes, and then I can manipulate that array of bytes in whatever way I want. In my case, that's going to involve me translating this to something that can be consumed by Ratatouille. I'm still not entirely sure about how I'm going to go about doing this because I'm going to have to handle colors as well and transparency. That's another thing because I want to make it like multi-layered. So I'm going to have to introduce the concept of a depth buffer. I'm going to have to write like maybe my own compositor to dude, holy shit. I just realized that we have not done any Godot stuff and we are legit 1 hour into the stream. That's crazy. Give me a second. Let me hydrate. But yeah, okay, this is what I've been up to. I'm gonna be doing a bunch of research on this, and I'm actually really excited about this idea. For one thing, hopefully it's gonna be really lightweight on my system, but also it's gonna fit in with my terminal based aesthetic. Yeah, yeah. I wanna try this out. I want to try this out, and this seems a lot more quickly doable than well, I mean, I think if I speed up my learning in Godot, then the things in Godot will also be like doing the same thing in Godot will also be doable relatively quicker because what I need is something that has like a cool animation, which would be really doable in Rust because I'm gonna have access to a bunch of other crates thanks to Nano, which I'm not using anymore. I learned about other crates like there was Noise RS, and there was another one which was it was a path-based thing. I forgot. I think it was called Lion. Yeah, I think it was called Lion. Let me just look that up. Rust Lion. So Nano, not Nano, Noise RS gives you a bunch of different procedural texture generation functions, like very useful, like things that go way beyond, like the library itself is called Noise, but it gives you a bunch of different functions for a lot of different types of procedural texture generation. So I can do a lot with that. I can, in terms of calculating, various types of graphics, I can do quite a lot. Okay, then Lion. Lion is, let me read out the README um, of the repo. Okay, this is a path tessellation library written in Rust for GPU-based 2D graphics rendering. Wait, this is GPU-based. So at what point is the data going to the GPU? For now, the goal is to provide efficient SVG-compliant path tessellation tools to help with rendering vector graphics on the GPU. Oh, you know what? I just remembered that. Okay, maybe Lion might not be the best choice here. I'll have to see because I don't know if this is actually doing like 3D 3D calculations in the background. Because if it is, perhaps not the best idea. Hold on, I need to ask. I need to ask Gemini about this. Okay, I'm working on a TUI-based VTuber app that's gonna be using Ratatouille. I For the 2D drawing part, I want to use an external library that is actually meant for 2D drawing. However, I want it to stop at um, at the rasterization part and basically render to a buffer which I can then translate to some form that Ratatouille can consume, to render to the terminal. Um, this all has to be CPU based. What I'm wondering is, can I use Lion given my setup? Or is Lion tightly coupled with the GPU? I don't think tightly coupled is the best term to use here, or the most accurate term. I'm not sure. Okay, the short answer, no, Lion is likely not the tool you want for this specific task. While Lion is technically CPU based in the sense that the code runs on the CPU, its purpose is tessellation, not rasterization. You know what? Okay, that is true. Because I remember in a previous conversation that I had with Gemini, what would be happening is after you have drawn, so you can draw, like Lion provides you with API to draw curves, for example, and then that curve can be tessellated, basically converting it into a mesh. So it'll be like a bunch of triangles that are strung together in order to form that shape of that curve that you've drawn. It'll be like hundreds of tiny triangles making up that curve. This is actually one of the reasons why I was wondering if Lion will actually, touch the GPU. Like, definitely it's going to touch the GPU, or can I stop it at some point? But okay, Lion takes, wait, why Lion isn't the right fit? Lion takes vector paths, such as curves, lines, etc., and turns them into triangles, vertex and index buffers. It does not know how to turn these triangles into pixels in a buffer. Okay, it's designed to hand those triangles off to a GPU via a WGPU, Volcano, probably something to do with Vulkan, etc., which then does the actual filling of the pixels. If you use Lion, you would still be left with the massive task of writing a software rasterizer to color the pixels, writing a software rasterizer to color the pixels inside those triangles, to keep bitmap to keep to words, holy shit, to create a bitmapped image of for Ratatouille. Okay, better alternatives for CPU rasterization. Since you want to render to a buffer on the CPU and then pass that to Ratatouille, you should look into libraries that handle the entire pipeline from path to raster in pixels. Okay, tiny Skia. There's one recommendation which is apparently highly recommended. This is a 100% Rust CPU only port of of a subset of Skia graphics of the Skia graphics engine. You know what? I should later on look. Okay, you know what? This is giving the same recommendation that it gave before. One recommendation that I haven't looked into is Velo. It says Velo is a successor to Piet or Pete. I'm not sure how to say that. Um, but apparently it has a high performance CPU backend that uses sparse strips to render very quickly. So I can look into Velo as well. I was planning on looking into, though, okay, Piet is is built on top of Skia, from what I understand. And if Velo is a successor to Piet, then that means Velo is also built on top of Skia or using it as a backend. Okay, well, For noise RS, I'm still going to be able to use that. That's a good thing because I know for a fact that noise RS doesn't, it's not creating like the final texture for you. I don't know if it has that capability or not, but for the most part, it's handing you data. You then have to pass that data to something to actually do the rendering, which is why noise RS is incredibly useful for me because all it does is transform data and produce data and give you the data so you can do something with that data. Um, Dude, okay, I need to hydrate and then we need to step away from this. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep talking about this. We need to move over to Godot and get at least a bit of Godot work done today. Um, is this where we were? Godot design philosophy? Yeah, I don't remember. I think oh yeah, yeah, okay, I remember this. Give me a second. Let me hydrate and then we'll do the whole reading thing. Okay, right. So, um we were reading the design philosophy. Okay, object oriented design. I believe we read like half of this, maybe, if not the whole thing, but we can read from the beginning again, I guess. Just in case we missed anything, I would prefer to get all of the information. Dude, you know what I like about this? There's a certain feeling that I got when I was first learning the Unity game engine. This was like a decade ago. This was um 2014, I think. 2013, 2014. So I remember I'd gone to the very first IGN convention that we had here where I live. And at that IGN convention, I'd met someone from our local game development community, which I didn't even know that we had a local game development community here. And this person was also showcasing, like, in addition to representing the local game dev community, this person was also showcasing. They were also showcasing a game that they were working on at the time, which was being done in the Unity game engine. And that's when I found out about Unity, and I also found out that it's C sharp based, which got me really excited for it. And I found out that there is a free version, which got me even more excited. So that very same night, I went home and immediately started doing research on Unity. I even downloaded Unity, installed it, started reading all the documentation and all. I got a very specific feeling when I was learning the game engine. And as I'm learning the Godot game engine now, I'm getting that very same feeling. I got the same feeling even back when I was like, I don't remember when it was, 1 or 2 years ago, when I was looking into the Godot engine and learning about the engine at that time. Got the same feeling. It feels pretty good. Let me say that learning a new game engine. I don't know. There's something exciting for me about that. Okay. Anyways, object-oriented design and composition. So, Godot embraces object-oriented design at its core with its flexible scene system and node hierarchy. It tries to stay away from strict programming patterns to offer an intuitive way to structure your game. For one, Godot lets you compose or aggregate scenes. It's like nested prefabs. You can create a blinking light scene, and a broken lantern scene. Then use then use the blink. Hold on. It's like nested prefabs. You can create a blinking light scene and a broken lantern scene that uses the blinking light. Then create a city filled with broken lanterns. Change the blinking light's color. Save, and all the broken lanterns in the city will update instantly. On top of that, you can inherit from any scene. A Godot scene can be, hold on, I just did something that might cause us to freeze. Okay, no, we're good. A Godot scene could be a weapon, a character, an item, a door, a level, part of a level, anything you'd like. It works like a class in pure code, except you're free to design it by using the editor, using only code, or mixing and matching the two. Okay, it's different from it's different from prefabs you find in several 3D engines, as you can then inherit from and extend those scenes. Okay, you may create a magician that extends your character, modify the character in the editor, and the magician will update as well. It helps you build your projects so that their structure matches the game's design. Also, note that Godot offers many different types of objects called nodes, each with a specific purpose. Nodes are part of a tree and always inherit from their parent up to the node class. Oh, up to the node class. So, node class in this case is the type of scene that it is. So, it could be a node 2D, a node 3D, or I believe for UI it's called control node. I think so. I don't remember. Hold on. Uh, how do I create a new scene? There. Okay, I can create a new scene here. User interface. Okay, let's. Oh, control. It's called control. Okay, yeah. Um, we can close this. Don't save. Come back to this and this. Yeah. Okay. Great. Awesome. Now, what was I? Where was I? Yeah, okay. Although the engine does feature some nodes like collision shapes that a parent physics body will use, most most nodes most nodes work independently from one another. In other words, Godot's nodes do not work like components in some other game engines. Right. Sprite 2D is a node 2D, a canvas item, and wait, Sprite 2D is a node 2D, a canvas item, and a node. I didn't pay attention to that node at the top. I feel like there's something that I need to learn about this entire hierarchy and the way that the way that the various items get represented. Also, something I should definitely experiment with a lot more is what was I saying? Actually, wait. There was something that I wanted to look into. Did I ever solve this? I did. How did I solve this issue? I don't remember how I'd done this. Was it through this? Keep the aspect ratio of the embedded game. Okay, let's try this then. Um, Stop running is F8. Okay, F6. Nope, nope. How did I fix that? Oh, was it this thing? I think it was this thing. Give me a second. Let me exit. It was this thing. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Does F8 work here as well? It does. Okay. Yeah, it was this thing. So if I go into game view and I check this embed game on next play, then it also, what is this next checkbox? Make game workspace floating on next play. But if I make it floating, then doesn't that defeat the purpose of embedding it? Yeah, I should look into what the difference is there. I'm not sure what the difference is, but yeah, it kind of defeats the purpose of what I was trying to doing. What I was trying to doing, what I was trying to do, um, which is this. I was trying to embed it here. Oh, now I remember. I didn't exactly solve the problem because I just remembered that even the last time, what I'd realized was that even though this is being embedded, it's still technically a different window. Yeah, it's still technically a different window. And so I need I need to give OBS a separate capture source or create a separate source in OBS and point it towards this thing, this capture thing. Let me try that real quick. I don't know how well it's gonna work out, how well it's gonna be picking up. Um, no, I probably shouldn't try that right now because I don't know if when the thing gets closed, like when, because like in OBS on Linux, I specifically use I believe I use the pipewire thing, not Xcomposite. At least on this machine on which from which I'm streaming to the RTMP server, I use the pipewire screen capture, and that specific screen capture source gives you the option to either capture an application or capture the entire screen. So the entire screen would then be a display capture, but I'm going for a specific application. Usually that's how I capture, specific windows, and that's much better than an entire display capture as well. But I don't know if when that application that's being pointed to closes, then is the capture automatically going to switch to a different window? Because if it does, that would be a problem. I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to have to test that out off stream. I'll test that out off stream and see how well that works out. But yeah, I just remembered that this was one of the problems that I'd run into. Anyways, let's continue reading. Okay, Sprite 2D is a Node 2D, a canvas item, and a node. It has all the properties and features of its three parent classes, like transforms or the ability to draw custom shapes and render with a custom shader. All right. All inclusive package. Godot tries to provide its own tools to answer most. Give me a second. Oh, okay. I suddenly heard my fans getting louder, so I was like, what's going on? And this system that I'm streaming to RTMP from, it's already like, it's got a bit of a load on it because it's got the matrix rain running, it's got the two tmux sessions that are running and being attached to, and then that entire kitty terminal is being captured by OBS, which is also running. OBS is also currently running and streaming to the RTMP server. OBS is also currently capturing this Godot editor, which is also running on this machine. So the machine is currently running OBS. It's running the kitty terminal. Within the kitty terminal, there's the matrix rain. There's the two tmux sessions running. There's also this Godot editor running. All of this is being captured by OBS, which is also running. Then I also have my Firefox browser open. So there's a couple of things that are running. So slowly the CPU's temperature starts to rise. Usually after the stream is over, there's also the RTMP server itself that's running. I forgot to mention that as well. But yeah, gradually the CPU temperature rises. Usually after the stream, I immediately cut off the RTMP feed. I'll um, I'll close OBS here on the Windows laptop, so it's not capturing the RTMP feed anymore, then I'll go over to the Linux desktop where the RTMP feed is being captured. I will stop OBS from streaming there, close OBS, so that reduces the load. I then shut off the RTMP server itself. That reduces the load. Additionally, if I have a project open like this one, for example, which is open right now and it's consuming a good, like, I think 2 GB of memory or maybe 1.5 GB of memory, and I'm not even doing anything yet. Why do I have this open? Let me just close this. Okay, all right. Anyways, moving on. So, it has a dedicated scripting language, a dedicated scripting workspace. Sorry, it has a dedicated scripting workspace, an animation editor, a tile map editor, a shader editor, a debugger, a profiler, the ability to hot reload locally and on remote devices, etc. Hold on, hot reload on remote devices. Dude, I should look into that. No, I should look into that. Reloading or just loading up the game on remote devices. I should look into whether it's possible to have the editor running on a different machine, but then have the build show up on a different machine. Even if it's like a debug build, actually, specifically if it's a debug build, not like an actual build, but like just playing a current scene. Can I have like a, separate window pop up on my Windows machine, and I'll just capture that. Okay, all right. The goal is to offer a full package to create games and a continuous user experience. You can still work with external programs as long as there is an import plugin available in Godot for it. Okay. This is also partly why Godot offers its own programming language, GDScript, along with C Sharp. GDScript is designed for the needs of game developers and game designers and is tightly integrated in the engine and the editor. GDScript lets you write code using an indentation-based syntax, yet it detects types and offers a static language's quality of auto-completion. It is also optimized for gameplay code with built-in types like vectors and colors. Note that with GD extension, you can write high-performance code using compile what? Note that with I thought it was I thought it was saying with GD script you can write. Okay. Note that with GD extension, you can write high-performance code using compiled languages like C, C++, Rust, D, Hacks, or Swift. I've never heard of Hacks before. Or is that supposed to be Hakes? I don't know. Anyways, without recompiling the engine. Awesome. Note that the 3D workspace doesn't feature as many tools as the 2D workspace. You'll need external programs or add-ons to edit terrains, animate complex characters, and so on. Godot provides a complete API to extend the editor's functionality using game code. Okay, awesome. See the Godot editor is a Godot game below. Below? Oh, okay. They're gonna. Yeah, I remember this. This is also why people have been able to build like entire toolkits which you would be running in order to build a Godot game. Like they've built toolkits like with full GUI and all that you can then use to build a game inside. Okay. Um, Open source. Godot offers a fully open source code base under the MIT license. This means that the code base is free for anyone to download, use, modify, or share as long as its license file is kept intact. All technologies that ship with Godot including third-party libraries, must be legally compatible with this open source license. Therefore, most parts of Godot are developed from the ground up by community contributors. Wait, I wasn't paying attention to what I was just reading. All technologies that ship with Godot, including third-party libraries, must be legally compatible. Oh, okay. Must be legally compatible with this open source license. So if you are building any third-party libraries for Godot, basically they also have to be open source. Or if you're building and distributing all technologies that oh, it says here all technologies that ship with Godot. I thought they were talking about something that you distribute. Okay. That ship with Godot, including third-party libraries, must be legally compatible with this open source license. Therefore, most parts of Godot are developed from the ground up by community contributors. Anyone can plug in proprietary tools for the needs of their projects. They just won't ship with the engine. This may include Google AdMob or Fmod. Any of those tools, any of these can come as third-party plugins instead. On the other hand, an open code base means you can learn from and extend the engine to your heart's content. You can also debug games easily, as Godot will print errors with a stack trace even if they come from the engine itself. Note, this does not affect the work you do with Godot in any way. There's no strings attached to the engine or anything you can make with it. All right. By the way, this stack trace thing and debugging thing that was mentioned somewhere here, you can also debug games easily. This reminded me of something that we'll need to watch out for, something that Gemini had pointed out, which I think might also be mentioned in this Godot Rust book. Yeah, this, which might also be mentioned in this book. I should check if it's mentioned here, maybe. Calling functions, objects, okay. Tool chain, recipes, ecosystem, contribute, migration guides. Yeah, okay. Something that oh, okay, so there's debugging mentioned here. I can look into that later on. Something that Gemini was mentioning is that um it is technically possible, while Rust itself is memory safe, if you're doing stuff completely within Rust, yeah, it is memory safe. But technically it is possible, and like we could try this out at some point later. I might not do it on stream because of what I'm gonna tell you right now. But according to Gemini, while yeah, Rust itself is memory safe and um, won't let you write code that is not memory safe, that code that might be pointing towards freed memory. Um, while Rust itself is memory safe, technically it is possible to write unsafe code when you're doing Rust for Godot. Because with Rust for Godot, what you're doing is essentially you're developing a library that's going to be loaded by the engine, and then the code within your library is going to be accessing stuff outside of the library itself. That is why it's possible for you to access something that you're not legally, quote unquote, legally allowed to access, or something that might have been freed already. You might be trying to access it, and if you try to do something like that, you can crash not just your library, you can crash the entire editor. However, apparently this library does give you certain types to avoid that. One of the types that was mentioned was, I forgot the exact name of it, but it's some sort of smart pointer, and that apparently avoids getting into these kinds of situations, but it's definitely something to watch out for. Um, especially considering that it can crash the entire engine. Um, Let me see what's under objects here and see if it's mentioned. We also haven't covered smart pointers yet. I mean, I have a very basic idea of smart pointers in Rust, but like from my Gemini course point of view, I haven't really covered or relearned about smart pointers. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Oh, here it is. The GD smart pointer. This is what Gemini was talking about. Okay, GD is a type you will encounter the most when working with Godot Rust. It is also the most powerful and versatile type that the library provides. In particular, its responsibilities include holding references to all Godot objects, whether they are engine types like Node 2D or your own structs in Rust. Um, Also, tracking memory management of types that are reference counted, safe access to user defined Rust objects through interior mutability, detecting destroyed objects and preventing, I think UB is undefined behavior because it mentions double free, dangling pointer, etc. So, yeah, UB might be undefined behavior. And providing FFI conversions between Rust and engine representations for engine provided and user exposed APIs. Okay, so we're gonna be um, exploring this as well. All right, now let's get back to reading. Okay, community driven. Godot is made by its community for the community and for all game creators out there. It's the needs of the users and open discussions that drive the core updates. New features from the core developers often focus on what will benefit the most users first. That said, um, although a handful of core developers work on it full time, the project has thousands of contributors at the time of writing. Benevolent programmers work on features they may need themselves, so you'll see improvements in all corners of the engine at the same time in every major release. Then, the Godot editor is a Godot game. The Godot editor runs on the game engine. It uses the engine's own UI system. It can hot reload code and scenes when you test your projects or run game code in the editor. This means you can use the same code and scenes for your games and build plugins and extend the editor. Awesome. Great. Yeah, this is actually good to know. This is definitely good to know. I wonder if we can do that with Rust as well. I think so because if the language is being exposed, or if the Godot API is being exposed to Rust, I'm assuming um, this part of the API is also being exposed because like in comparison, something like Unity, at least back in the day, I don't know to what extent. Yeah. Uh, I don't know to what extent that's still the case because they have improved their UI framework a lot. There's actually a newer framework. I don't know what the progress is on it in terms of making it more in-game compatible. Because like they had a new framework that they were working on. I believe it was called UI Toolkit. The thing is that toolkit initially it was built to allow you to create tools for Unity. So it was a UI framework, a UI toolkit that was more geared towards allowing developers to write editor tools because in the past, despite them releasing a UI framework, that UI framework was geared more towards games. So if you wanted to write editor tools, you would still have to code those editor tools, as in code their entire look. You would have to code the visual part of it and then also the logic part of it. And then now you have UI Toolkit, which started out as something that you can use to make in editor tools, but then it didn't have full in-game support, in-game UI support. It had like to a certain extent, like you could use it, but it didn't have like full support to do like more advanced things. I'm sure that's probably improved or it's going to improve in the future, but that's what it was. Prior to all of this, before all of this became a thing, if you wanted to make editor tools, you had to code it, and the namespace you would have to use was completely different um, from the Unity engine space namespace, because you had, for Unity editor tools you had a Unity editor namespace, and for Unity engine tools you had a Unity engine namespace. Did I say Unity engine tools? For Unity engine stuff you had a Unity engine namespace. So anything like mono behavior related or any transform or something like that, it would all be part of Unity engine, not Unity editor. And also Unity editor, just it didn't ship with uh it wasn't part of it didn't exist during runtime. So like you had all those different types of complications. um yeah. Okay, this leads to a reliable and flexible UI system as it powers the editor itself. With the add tool annotation, you can run any game code in the editor. RPG in a Box is a voxel RPG editor made with Godot. It uses Godot's UI tools for its node-based programming system and for the rest of the interface. Put the add tool annotation at the top of any GD script and it'll run in the editor. This lets you import and export plugins, create plugins like custom level editors, and or create scripts with the same nodes and API you use in your projects. The editor is fully written in C++ and is statically compiled into a binary. This means you can't import it as a typical project that would have a project.godot file. Okay, separate 2D and 3D engines. Okay, this is one of the things that I spent the past, I don't know, 2 or 3 streams doing research on. Um, we were trying to understand the difference between the 2D side and 3D side of Godot, and that was really, I'm glad that I did that research because that definitely helped me visualize things a lot better. Like understanding that I still have that viewport thing, the viewport documentation. I think it was here, or maybe it was this one. Yeah, this, because this mentions the thing about hold on, worlds. This mentions the thing about world, and I don't remember what it mentioned for 2D. But yeah. Looking into this stuff, helped it definitely helped me visualize how things are being done in terms of rendering, and how 2D and 3D are actually being mixed. Because like I had to understand that, okay, 2D and 3D are handled by two separate engines. However, the final rendering is basically a composite of both of them. So your 3D world is rendered and it's rasterized and then rendered to one buffer, and then your 2D world is also rendered to another buffer, and the UI is also rendered to, I'm assuming, another buffer. and then all of these three are like composited together as essentially layered on top of each other. I don't know if the UI is like directly merged with 2D, but like they both operate in somewhat the same space. It's just that UI has some more automated stuff going on in terms of like, I don't know, layout related tools. But yeah, yeah. Understanding this thing that they both get rendered, technically they both do get rendered. In the end they just get layered on top of each other. Dude, understanding this part, it really helped me visualize a lot of things. Like a lot of things. And I'm interested in seeing how I can like mix up both of these things. I wanna I wanna look into like what I can do there. By the way, by the way, just now as I was talking about, things I can do with Godot, I was remembering one of the projects that I was planning on doing, which was the topic tracker kind of thing, which it would essentially create like a graph of topics that I've been speaking about, and I was going to do that the entire rendering in Godot for that. Um, yeah, when I was looking into various like widgets that Ratatouille offers, they have a list of community made widgets as well, and one of them is it's a node graph widget that somebody has made for Ratatouille. Um, yeah, yeah, it's a node graph widget. I wanna look into that because I want to see I want to see if I can like set something up using that. Let me just actually I'm not I don't think I'm going to bring it up on stream. Let me finish reading this. Okay, Godot offers dedicated 2D and 3D rendering engines. As a result, the base unit of 2D scenes is pixels. Even though the engines are separate, you can render 2D and 3D, 3D and 2D, and overlay 2D sprites and interfaces over your 3D world. And that's exactly what happens when we render both 2D and 3D together. Okay. All right. So the next thing to do is step by step. Um, so we are officially done with the introduction to Godot, and now we are moving on to this, which is awesome. Great. Dude, you know what? For the past couple of streams, it's been this way. Actually, I mean, to a certain extent, it's been this way. Definitely for the past two streams, which is like this stream and the previous stream, it's been this way. I mainly only do the Godot learning on stream, which is what I wanted to do. I want to just do the Godot related learning on stream, and everything else, I'm going to do it off stream. So, like all of the other stuff that I'm working on, all of the other research and stuff that I'm doing, it's all happening off stream. And that is great because I'm able to make a lot more progress. Like on stream, I'm able to learn Godot, which is Godot progress. Off stream, I'm doing a bunch of other research for a bunch of other things that I'm working on. Um, I don't even like remember. Hold on, I think I believe I had written the thing down here. Oh yeah, glad that I have this list. Otherwise, I would have just completely forgotten about everything. Yeah, there's this thing also talk about bat and TV. Now there's rip grab part of that as well. Um, I don't remember which other tool. Oh, Delta. I still have to play around with Delta to understand like all of its various features, and then I'll probably do a post on that as well. I can modify this. Bat, TV, rip grab, and Delta. Yeah, Delta is great because one of the things it definitely gives you, it gives you a bunch of other stuff as well, but one of the things it definitely gives you is Git diffing capabilities, and you're meant to use it with Git. So like you can have Git point towards, actually, I could show, I don't remember if, wait, I'm done with this, so I can switch back here. Dude, two things that I'm glad that I found out about. Actually, I kind of knew about this one. One is this thing, this way to view a tree form of this. I knew about this before, but then I'd forgotten about it, and I kept sticking with that usual, switch to the previous window, switch to the next window, and that would just take like a million years to move to the next window, and this is so much faster. So this is one thing. Another thing is Control B B. This basically goes to the previous window, whatever the previous window might have been, and so this way I can switch between two windows back and forth very easily. Like, to give you an idea, I'm switching between Windows 0 and Windows 29. That's crazy, dude. Generally, what I would have to do is something like this. There. I went all the way to the end, and then it wrapped around back to 0, and then in order to go back, I would do this. And I mean, while I don't mind doing it for a little bit, it can get tedious when you have to jump around quite a bit. So this helps so much more. Okay, all right. Whew, we made some good progress, dude. And I'm excited for this because we are getting really close to getting into scripting. So let's take a look at what we've got here. Give me a second. Okay, so we've got nodes and scenes. So we're going to be learning about nodes, scenes, creating a scene. Oh, chill out. Okay, the page is longer than I thought. Oh yeah, now the images came in. That's why. Right, so we're going to learn about nodes. Actually, I could look at this list, right? Nodes, scenes, creating scenes, changing node properties, running a scene, and setting the main scene. Okay, awesome. Yep, great. Then, after that, we have creating instances. Is that what comes after this? It is. Okay. Creating instances. So it's going to go into details of that as well. Okay, great, awesome. This goes into the practical side of it, editing scenes and instances, scene instances as a design language. That's interesting. And then summary. Okay. And then next we go into scripting languages. Okay. So in scripting languages, okay, this lesson will give you an overview of the available scripting languages. Okay, okay. You can use multiple languages. Which language should I use? Okay, so this is talking about, okay, great, awesome. C++. All right, so in our case, we are going to be using Rust, which hasn't been mentioned here, which is okay. That's fine. We are not going to be using GDScript. Once we get to the next part, which is creating your first script, this is the point where we have to switch to um, this is the point where we have to switch to our hello world thing. because this, as it mentions here, it's heavily inspired by creating your first script from the official Godot documentation. We recommend to follow that alongside this tutorial in case you're interested. In case you're interested, how certain GDScript concepts map to Rust. All right, awesome, great. So we are getting really close now. Okay, now give me a second here. Okay, let's do this. Uh, Give me a second. I'm just uh okay, you know what? We're gonna go for this. Hopefully we can. No, we cannot. Uh all right, let's try this person. Nope, can't do this either. I okay, let's try this person. Okay, so we're able to go with this person. What about this other person? We are also able to go with them. You know what? We go with this person. I don't know what they are doing. They have a very cute name. It's Monkey Do. So we're gonna go raid this person. I hope they. Oh, never mind. I really shouldn't have said the name before the raid went through, because we we are not able to raid the person because of their settings. Um, hold on. Okay, let's try this person. I do not know what this person is up to. We're gonna go check them out. Let me try raiding this person. Yes, okay. We are able to raid this person, so we're gonna head over to them. Their name is Whimsy Blossom. They're doing some work or studies, one of the two. I don't know. But yeah, we're gonna go hang out in this person's stream. So that's gonna be it for today's stream. We made some good progress today. The first hour was spent just talking about a bunch of other stuff, and then at least for the next hour, we did some Godot stuff, and we made some progress in Godot as well. Off stream, I'm gonna be doing a bunch of. I'm gonna continue a bunch of my other research and see how much further I'm able to get in terms of getting the VTuber application development started on the Ratatouille side. Yeah. That's going to be it for today's stream. I hope you guys have a nice day, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.